Hi, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, y'all. Welcome back to my channel, y'all. You know, the first thing we do on this channel before we do anything is pray. I'm going to insert my prayer here so you can say it with me. You'll know who I am, why I'm here, and what this video is all about. This is what the Bible said. Now that we rebuked all bad energies and all bad vibes, welcome to my channel, y'all. All right, so get in here, sit down, siéntate, shitala, shitala, okay? And yeah, get your Bibles, okay? Because we're about to read. And the video today is going to be about when God speaks. That is what the video is about. The video is about when God speaks. I'm so excited to do this video because I feel like we need to hear it. We need to hear it. So I'm in Exodus, right? And I'm reading Exodus because I'm in Jeremiah actually. But a lot of times when you're in the different books, it will redirect you back to another book. So that way you can understand, um, that way you can follow the lead on what is being discussed, what topics are being discussed. So as I'm in Jeremiah, it was put in my spirit to go back to Exodus. So I went back to Exodus. And when I got into Exodus, I realized why I needed to read this book. So the book is about Moses, right? Exodus is about Moses. And let me just say it in my terms, like the way that you and I will understand what was happening. All right. So let's do like a quick story time with Shay. So this is gonna be a quick story time with Shay. Okay. So Moses, now we all know Moses was one of the, let's say, well, God said you will be their God, and then his brother Aaron will be a prophet. So Moses was the tribe that followed him. He was their God. All right. So when Moses was born, he was born in a time during a time where war was going on. And when his mother gave birth to Moses, she saw that he was he was such a beautiful baby boy. And at the time, he hid him for about 3 months, and then she couldn't hide him anymore. So she like built a, let's say in our terms, like kind of like a kayak. So she put leaves and stuff, bushes, and she put him in it, and she sent him in the river, right? And when he and his sister was there, his older sister was there, so she saw what the mother was doing. And when they sent him in the river, another tribe found him. And when they found him, they reached out to, because his mother was a midwife, so they reached out to the mother, his actual mother, and you know told his mother to take care of him until he get older, to nurse him until he get old enough, and then bring him back to the lady who found him, because the woman who found him was the king's daughter. So he's coming from poverty going into the president's house, right? So when he grew up, he was walking and he noticed that a different tribe was beating on a Hebrew, which he was a Hebrew. And when he saw that nobody was around, he ends up killing a guy, right? For for the Hebrew. He ends up killing him because he saw he was doing wickedness to the Hebrew. He ends up killing him for the Hebrew. And then lo and behold, when the Hebrews got upset with him, they went and told the king what he did. So he had to flee where he was and find a whole nother different world to be a part of. So it's like you fleeing from where you live to go to, like, let's say Houston, Texas. So you from New York and you go to Houston, Texas. You don't know anyone there. You don't know anyone there. You're new. You don't have no family, no friends, anybody. So he ended up meeting a young lady, marrying her, and being part of her family. Lo and behold, he was walking, taking care of his animals, and he was walking into like the Holy Land, like God's Holy Land. And God approached him, right? Approached him in spirit and was talking to him in spirit and telling him what he wanted him to do. He was like, I want you to go back to where you from, get all the Hebrews together, and I want them to take over another land. Moses was like, what? I don't even know how to speak English properly. Like, I'm not eloquent. I'm not this, prophet, fancy person. This is what he's telling God. He was like, I'm not. So why you want to choose me? Like, I'm definitely not qualified for it. And God's like, you not qualified for it. Listen, this is what I need you to do. You need to do it. And he's coming up with all these excuses to why he couldn't do it. So God had to give him God had to scare him 3 times. 3 times God had to scare him for him to realize like what was happening. And what I got from that, I'm like, hold on, God is literally sitting there talking to you, and you still have excuses to why you can't do something. I'm like, wow, that's deep. Like, that's real deep. Like, God is sitting talking to you, telling you what he needs you to do. Literally telling him what he needed to do. God's like, I'm God. Like, I am God. I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Like, I'm God, right? And he's like, he's still not listening. So God, like, all right, put your hand in your bosom, right? Put your hand on your heart. He put his hand on his heart, and when he took it out, it was leprosy like snow. Then God said, put your hand on your heart again, and then God restored his hand back to the way his other flesh is. The first test that God gave him was like, what are you holding in your hand? And he was like, I'm holding a rod. God was like, put it on the floor. He put it on the floor. God turned it into a serpent. And when I read that, I'm like, why? This is the second time a serpent came about. I'm like, why is there always a serpent that is in the picture? So, of course, what's a serpent? A serpent is a snake. I'm like, whoa, that was a deep message for me right there. It was a lot of different messages going on in this story, but that one was a real deep message. Like the fact that, with Eve, the serpent came to trick her mind and play with her, and he succeeded in that. And then now the serpent is coming to scare Moses. So I'm like, what is the correlation between the serpent? And I realized sometimes in life you need snakes, and you need snakes. You need snakes because those snakes are going to deliver you. Those snakes is going to bring you into greatness, right? And sometimes those snakes is there to test you. Those snakes, if you have snakes in your circle or snakes around you, they are there to take away your blessings. They are there to stop you. They are there to come in your way and distract you. So if you know you got a snake around you, and you know there's a snake, whoever it is, get them from away from you. There's no such thing as keep my enemy close. There's like a saying that I grew up with that, a lot of people know is, I'm not sure if you know, but is keep your enemy close, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That is not true. You don't need to keep your enemies close at all. You need them to get away from you. The Bible says is a man who walk on the side of the wickedness is wicked as well. So get them away from you. So anyway, he had the snake appear. He turned the rod, God turned the rod into a snake, right? He was scared. So I was like, wow, he's scared of the snake, but he's not scared of God. Then so that was one test that he gave Moses. Another test, God turned his hand to leprosy. And then the third thing he did was like, and if you still don't believe me, take the water out the ocean, put it on dry land, and he turned it into blood. So he showed him 3 reasons why he needed to do what he God showed Moses 3 reasons, 3 times why he needed to be more scared of God and not scared of the people. So I was like, wow, this is interesting because the spirit of God is on him right now, and he's so worried about him being illiterate, him not knowing how to speak properly, and him not being educated. Rather, you have God in front of you telling you what he needs to do, letting you know that he gonna be there with you when he's not leaving, and he's still not sold. And had to frighten him multiple times, 3 times, for him to realize what was going on. So God put in his brother Aaron. Aaron don't get a lot of credit. Well, Moses put in work, but Aaron was his right hand man. Okay. So um God put in his brother Aaron's spirit to go find Moses. So when Aaron came to find Moses, God told Moses, your brother Aaron is coming. I know that your brother Aaron is smart and he have eloquent speech. Have him do all the talking for you. And he will follow your lead, and you will be his God, and he will be your prophet. And I was like, wow, why Aaron never gets credit? Aaron is not discussed properly. When Aaron met up with Moses, the spirit of God had left. Moses told Aaron everything, and Aaron was like, all right, I'm down. What we have to do? I'm like, yes, that's who you need around you. That's who we need around us. I'm down. What, just tell me what we got to do and let's get it done. Like, that's what you need. Okay. So Aaron went with him. So God wanted Moses and Aaron to go to the prophet and tell the prophet, let me take my people, right? His people is the Hebrews, and they're in slavery. The Hebrew people are in slavery. And you never hear in our today's world that you only hear about us being in slavery. You never hear about the fact that any it's only popular for us to be in slavery. It's not popular for anyone else to be in slavery, right? So that made me think, like, if no, we don't know. So the Hebrews was in slavery, and Moses and Aaron to go to the king, right? Let's say they're going to the president, right? And they telling the president, we want, no, that's like Kanye saying that, Kanye telling black people, y'all need to stick beside me, y'all need to stay with me. And what they doing to him? Disowning him, like, no, get out of here, bye, we ain't having it. So that's what Moses was telling God, like, God, they're not gonna listen to us. They not. Who are we? We are nobody. Like, why would the king listen to what I have to say? And God was like, He gonna listen to you. Just go and do it, because I am God and I am with you, and I'm gonna make sure it get done. So, um, so so God wanted Aaron and Moses to go to the president, basically the King Pharaoh, and tell him, let me take these slaves, and we need to go serve our God. We need to pray. And Aaron was a believer. He was down, but Moses was like, I don't even believe this is gonna happen. This is bogus. This is never gonna work. It's never gonna happen. Even after God scared him, put troubles on him and everything, he still wasn't sold. So long behold, he ended up doing it because he had no other choice, right? You have no other choice. When God tell you what to do, you have to do it, right? I said this in another video, and if you don't do it, you'll be forced to do it, whether you like it or not. It's gonna happen. If He chose you, in some cases, not in all cases, and He know that you are faithful and that you are not for the wickedness, He know that you're gonna do it, right? Just like I was saying, like, there's times where God would tell me to do something, and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy, and I'll give up a fight, but I end up doing it anyway. Him and Aaron end up going to the king and telling him, like, hey, listen, I need to take the slaves, the Hebrews, out of your country, and we need to go into the desert and pray. We need to pray to our God. So the king was like, what? Who? Like, I don't even know your God. Who is your God? I don't care about none of that. Like, they not leaving. Long story short, and this is crazy because it tells you, verse 2, it says, and Pharaoh said, who is the Lord that I should obey his voice and to let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, nor will I let Israel go. So this is what the King Pharaoh is saying to Moses, like, I don't know your Lord. So that means he worshiping somebody. He's not worshiping our righteous God, but he's definitely worshiping somebody. And that passage told me that you will be worshiping somebody in life, whether you believe it or not. You worshiping somebody. You either worshiping an unrighteous God or you worshiping the righteous God. And that will show in your life what God you are worshiping. It will show up in your life. So you can't hide it. If your eyes are open and you are aware of what's going on around you, then a person cannot hide what God they're serving. Okay? Keep that in mind. A person cannot hide what God they're serving. You'll see it in their lifestyle and in their life choices and in their speech. Okay? So I was like, that's deep. That's real deep. And it also made me realize why um corporate America, or why religion is banned. Like, you're not allowed to talk about religion in workplaces or in social stances. Like, they don't want you talking about politics, religion, sex, orientate. And the reason why I feel like they don't want you to talk about religion is because they know when multiple people are praying, God gonna do his work. And the beast don't want that. The beast don't want congregation of worshipers and people praying to God, because that means all those unbalanced energies are gonna be removed. Same thing happened with the story of Harriet Tubman. You know, they refused to allow people to pray and worship because they knew when that happened, slaves was gonna be free. Okay, and same thing happened in Moses' story. Like, the king refused to let Moses take the slaves to go pray. Because again, I'm gonna keep trying to make a long story short. And so long behold, God put in the king's heart. God turned it up. God turned it up on a king, and he had no other choice but to let the people go. But before letting the people go, he just made it real bad for them. Like, he made it worse for them. He took everything from them and still made them produce the same results. And Moses was getting weary. He was going back to God and saying to God, like, this is not working. It's only getting worse. Moses' wife done this try to leave him. She left him, took the kids and left him. She was like, I'm not having this. Actually, and Exodus 4:25, Zipporah, which was Moses' wife, took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at Moses' feet and said, surely you are my husband of blood to me, because Moses wasn't circumcised. So she felt like because Moses wasn't circumcised and her son wasn't circumcised, this is why all the wrath was coming on to them. She didn't know what was going on because God didn't put it in her spirit. He put it in Moses' spirit what to do. So she just thought all this affliction was happening because they wasn't circumcised, and that wasn't the truth. And the story is Moses went and asked the king to take his people. The king ended up giving the slaves more toil and literally beat them and, you know, caused a lot of affliction on them. And when he did that, this is Moses in Exodus 5:23. Moses said, he's going to God. He said, for since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all. Then the Lord said to, so Exodus chapter 6, then the Lord said to Moses, now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand I will let them go, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of his land. And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. And I was like, oh, I love when God get cocky and get in his bag. Like, if you read the Bible, you see, like, God, oh, he get in his bag. He get cocky. He's funny. Child, the Bible be having me laugh. He has a lot of charisma. He's smart, obviously, full of wisdom and knowledge, and he get in his bag. Like, he get cocky, and I'm like, okay. He was like, cause I am the Lord. Like, you gonna do what I say, they gonna do what I say, and everybody here gonna do what I say. You hear me? And I was like, I know that's right. I know that is right. So then I appeared to Abraham. So this is God. He's like, I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob as God Almighty. But by my name, Lord, I was not known to them. So what he's saying is, like, God's like, I appeared to the goats before me, because in the Bible, a lot of the books are many, many years apart. Like, these books are not like written all at the same time. I know a lot of times we think that everything that happened is like within the same year. No, these are different centuries all in the Bible that happened. So, as time go by and people die on, they don't they all know God as something different. Even today, in our life, we know God as multiple names, thank God. But before that, they didn't know that. So God is saying to Moses, like, I am your God. I appeared to all the goats before you, right? The Abraham, the Isaac, the Jacobs. So everyone know Abraham, everyone know Isaac, everyone know Jacob's story, right? Because history is constantly passed down from generation to generation. So everybody know their story, but they don't know how they would deliver it there if the story wasn't passed down effectively. So God's like, yeah, you know Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, that was me. That was me who made them who they was. But they knew me as the God Almighty. They knew me firsthand. They knew me when I was appearing myself to people. But you don't know me. You know me as Lord. So you're gonna have to get to know me. And I was like, yes, God, get in your back. This is why you have to get to know God for yourself. You have to get to know God. Okay? So it says, so in chapter 6, verse 4, it says, I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan and the land of the pilgrimage in which they were strangers. So when God gives you something, He don't care who has the rights to it. When it's yours, it's yours. And I feel like Kanye right now, he is fighting by himself. He's out there by himself fighting, and we don't know what spirit God put in him. If God told him to speak of my name and go out there and you take back Israel, because this is what Moses was to do: take back the Hebrews from Egypt, take them back, take the Israelites back, and give them something better. If God is putting that spirit into Kanye and we sitting here judging him, we don't know what spirit he got in him. We don't know, and it's scary to know that he doesn't have a backing, because that's like when Harriet Tubman had the spirit to go and free those slaves. And there were people that was not with her, that was against her. And look what she did. She literally changed our lives. So sometimes when you see a person making big moves like that and they not afraid, you don't know what spirit they got in them. You don't know what God told them to do. Because as Moses said, Moses like, I'm not even circumcised. And in the Bible, in the beginning of the Bible, like in Genesis, you're supposed to be circumcised for you to be holy. You're supposed to be circumcised. And Moses like, I'm not even circumcised. I mean, literally, he got all these excuses. Like, he's like, I'm nobody. Nobody cares about me. I'm not nothing important. And God's like, I'm not using you for your status. I'm not using you for who people think you are. I'm going to put you in a room full of people who think they are better than you, and I'm going to expose them to you. I'm going to put shame on them and put you on a ladder. So don't worry about that. Go where I tell you to go and don't go with fear, because I'm your God, I'm your Lord, and I'll be with you every step of the way. And I was like, oh, that's right. So when I see Kanye stepping out there and doing what he's doing, I'm not judging that man, because I don't know what spirit he got on him. You know what I mean? But what I would say is he's speaking a lot of truth. A lot of truth. And if you know your history and you get into your Bible, you will see it. All the truth that he is speaking is in the Bible. Okay? It's not hidden facts. It's not hidden history. It's not taught to us, but it's not hidden. You understand? So, the reason why I'm speaking of this, and I want to make a part 2 to this, because this story is immaculate. The story is really immaculate. Although the story is the second book in the Bible, you can clearly see that this is multiple generations away from each other, because Abraham was one of the first prophets, right? Excuse me. So that's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Then it was Joseph. Then it was Moses. Moses was the fifth chosen one, right? The fifth chosen one. So if Moses was the fifth chosen one, that's all the way right now in the 21st century, and we still talking about Moses. Okay? Every century, there's a chosen one coming to save people. There's a chosen one in every century coming to save people. Okay? So with that being said, the reason why I'm telling this part of the story is because God is not looking for you to come to him perfect. He's not looking for you to come to him in excellence. He wants you to strive for excellence, but he's not looking for that. He's looking for you. When he call you, he's looking for you to stand up and be ready. That's what he's looking for. And he's calling you. He's constantly in your head. And you know he's constantly in your head because certain things is just not sitting right with you. And you can't get it. And you're saying to yourself, like, I'm not getting it right. Something's not working. Something's not adding because you're not going to God. You're not accepting his calling in your life. You're not listening and adhering to what he is telling you. Okay? So God is calling you. He's not calling you because you're the smartest and brightest in the room. He's not calling you because you're the most eloquent. He's not calling you because you're the most handsome or the most prettiest. He's calling you because he wants you to stand up. Okay? So when you hear God calling you, you stand up and you do what it is you have to do because he's going to be there for you, with you, supporting you, encouraging you, and he's going to break rules. Moses' story tell us that he's going to break the rules. And I'm only in like 6 pages, and he done broke so and God done broke so many rules. He done proven himself to Moses, right? He done proven himself to Moses. He done